Hello everyone, welcome to sqadia.com. We are talking about the development of ear. This is the first section which will deal with the external ear. The section has been divided into an overview. Then it would be followed by the development of the external auditory meatus, and finally we'll talk about the development of auricle and the pinna. So let's get into it and see what these structures actually are. So first of all, referring to the figure, the ear has been divided into three parts. The external ear, which consists of the pinna or the auricle of the ear, and the external auditory meatus or the ear canal. Then this is the tympanic membrane which separates the external ear from the middle ear. This is the middle ear. The middle ear is actually a small cavity that contains the ossicles of the ear, and then finally we have the inner ear. This is the inner ear, the internal ear. The internal ear consists of the cochlea and the semicircular canals. So ear is an organ of hearing and balance. So it has two functions. It is responsible for the hearing of sound that is produced in our environment, and it is also responsible for the balance of the body. From lateral to medial side, the three parts of the ear. The external ear, which consists of the pinna and the external auditory meatus. The middle ear, which is a slit-like cavity, contains ear ossicles, and the internal ear, which consists of a bony as well as a membranous labyrinth. So we'll look up the details of all these sections as we progress through the lecture. However, functionally all these function as a syncytium and are responsible for the hearing of sounds and the production for the maintenance of balance of the human body. So they function as a single anatomical unit. Now, the external ear, it collects the sound waves. The middle ear transfers the sound waves from the external to the internal ear, and the internal ear is responsible for conversion of the sound waves into the nerve impulses for hearing. It also registers the changes in equilibrium and balance and maintains them. So let's talk about the external ear, the external auditory meatus. So external ear consists of the external auditory meatus, which is formed from the ectoderm of the first pharyngeal cleft. So here you can see in blue, this is the first pharyngeal cleft. This in pink is the tubotympanic membrane. So this first pharyngeal cleft is the ectoderm of the first pharyngeal cleft is responsible for the production of external auditory meatus. Let's see how that happens. So there's accumulation of these ectodermal cells. These cells, they accumulate and they form an ectoderm. They form an ectodermal plug. These cells are originating from the first first pharyngeal cleft. There's formation of a solid meatal plug. So first of all, there's a solid meatal plug. This in the figure it has a lumen, but at this point in time we are talking about there's no lumen. There's a solid meatal plug. Now it is canalized at birth. Now this canalization takes place at birth and it forms the external auditory meatus. So there's canalization of the meatal plug to form the external auditory meatus. So it develops from the ectoderm of the first pharyngeal pouch or the first pharyngeal cleft. This first of all, there's the solid canal. The solid canal undergoes canalization to form the external auditory meatus. Moving on, let's talk about the development of the external ear auricle or the pinna. So this is the second part of the external ear. The external ear, the auricle of the external ear, it develops from auricular hillocks or tubercles. Auricular hillocks are actually thickenings of the mesoderm that are responsible for the production of external ear. These thickenings are actually 6 in number. 3 of them develop along the caudal border of the hyoid arch. This can be seen in pink in the figure, and the rest of them develop in the caudal border of the mandibular arch, seen in blue in the figure. So the the auricular hillocks 1, 2, and 3 are formed along the caudal border of along the cephalic border of the hyoid arch, and the auricular hillocks 4, 5, and 6 are formed along the caudal border of the mandibular arch. As a result, the first, second, and third auricular hillocks are responsible for the production of tragus, the crus of helix, and the helix, and the auxiliary hillocks 4, 5, and 6 are responsible for the production of antihelix and ear lobule, as well as the antitragus. So let's see how this goes and the development proceeds. So this fusion of these 6 mesodermal thickening or hillocks that makes the auricle or the pinna. So the tragus is responsible for the production of crus of tragus, the crus of helix, and the helix are derived from the axillary auricular hillocks of the hyoid arch, and the antihelix, the antitragus, and the ear lobule are derived from the auricular hillocks of the mandibular arch. So this was all about this section. In this section, we saw how the development of external ear proceeded. We saw the external ear was composed of 2 parts, the external auditory meatus as well as the auricle or the pinna. So the external auditory meatus was formed as an outpouching of ectoderm of the first pharyngeal pouch. This was initially a solid tube which underwent canalization just before birth to form the external auditory canal. Now, the development of pinna is altogether a different story. There were 6 auxiliary hillocks, which were auricular hillocks, which were formed. These were formed, the first 3 in the cranial parts of the hyoid, the cranial parts of the hyoid bone and the hyoid arch, and the last 3 were formed in the caudal part of the mandibular arch. These joined together to form the pinna or the auricle of the external ear. I hope you understood and liked this section. For further such sections, keep watching sqadia.com.